let me wait a bit, so anyone willing to watch can join from the beginning. In the meantime, I will explore what I was doing the last time and what I needed to fix this time. Okay, so I usually leave myself some notes. Okay, so I usually leave myself some notes, and some of them will be here in Trello. Trails, stones, disappearance, good. So looks like I fixed all the bugs. Some of them will be in the code in form of to-dos or something like that. Let's check it. I obviously forgot to apply this prefab. Any comments? Do nothing, power when it creates collision start is called. Before the first frame, okay, this is not useful. So, experienced developers might look at me searching for double slash in the code and say that I'm probably not the best guy ever because I'm not using comments. But come on, it's not that bad. The fact that I have update that doesn't do anything is worse. Okay, do nothing, player UI, it's from Pinky Controls. I shouldn't modify this file because it will be regenerated anytime I change anything in controls, and I will change it. Let's see. Hey Nicker, nice to see you. Do you know any good playlist on Spotify that I can use for streams? Because, like, I see some in there that have royalty-free music and all that, but come on, I just cannot play it here. Yay, jumpy, cool. So fireballs right now are behaving as if they are spheres, just regular spheres. I probably want them to have trigger collider that will be slightly bigger than the main one, so they will collide with, don't have to really touch something to give it some flames. They will just need to fly really close to. I think this IM here is not helpful anymore. Debugged. Logger, undefined, action, some object. Okay, good. So those errors are debuggers, but I'm fine with having them. And okay, can start doing something. Let's find the prefab with fireball. Instantiate it. I just love the animation. I mean, it doesn't look like fireball. In the final game, I would like it to look more like fire and less like some random circles all over the place. But right now it looks so good. It looks much better than almost anything else on this scene. Okay. Now let's keep particle system on the main level of this stuff. I don't think it's going to be a problem. Or it is. So I might have a kid of this stuff doing something wrong. Particle system throw and spell. So what I want to happen is I want this throw and spell to be on top of the object because it describes what the object is, and not to hide it inside. But I probably want this sphere collider and the other collider to be on different layers. Most likely. most likely. Will I ever need some collision touch controller or something like that? I'm not sure. What should I do here? I can't just hack it around by just putting any random stuff in it. My second problem is that there is sphere collider and rigid body over here, and it will make it weird if I add one more collider right on this layer. Let's check if this thing requires collider and rigid body. It does. That's pretty bad. Does it? So it needs rigid body to enable and disable a bunch of stuff. I think I can move rigid body deeper inside the fireball and hide it in there. So I'll have a main object called fireball. Create empty fireball. And this, let's call it animation. Animation. Let's add one more helper to our stuff. What is this? Interactive object, simple interactive object. Okay, scripts, helpers. Folder. Behavior adjusters. Let's create a C# script in here called why do I even need this? I don't. This is so much easier than what I'm thinking of right now. So I just need this throw-in spell to this simple interactive object to not care about rigid body or collider at all. And this rigid body should just be public. And serialized field. I've learned something about Unity. I can use this to make something that is private into more or less public. And here I will do this. So if it's not now, then we'll use whatever is set on settings. If it's now, then I will try to get rigid body. If my rigid body equals now, then debug log critical log error. Simple active object without the body. This. So now what I can do is I can move the collider and rigid body inside the object. Something like this. And I can break the prefab. Unpack completely. At that point I can delete my previous prefab. Where that was? Prefabs, spells. Here. Can delete this safely. I most likely won't need it, because I will have everything here. And then I can move this throw-in spell out. Remove component. And I will let it on this layer. And I will take rigid body from this thing. Okay, the second thing I wanted to do is I wanted to move... Okay, I shouldn't have done this, but it doesn't matter that much. I want to create an extra object here that will be called collider. I want it to be separate from animation, because I don't care about animation that much. And Can it do this? No, it cannot. Okay. I can copy component. Can I select two components? No, I probably cannot copy two components. But here I can Control V, add component, sphere collider, paste component values, this. Then I'll use rigid body, again copy component and paste component as new. Good. So now we have that stuff moved. For some reason it's in some weird position, not in the middle of this. Oh yeah, I see why. 0, 0, 0. Yep, that makes kind of sense. Here you go. Get closer. Now I can remove stuff from here. Remove rigid body, remove sphere collider. Good. That's some good stuff. Interactive objects. Interactive objects. This should be on. Is it really on interactive objects? So I don't care about it being on any layer at all. I just care about have fun. My wife just sent me a message that she's going to play some games. And I'm here coding. Okay. So. I'm thinking on which layers I should put all this stuff. So this collider will just interact with some objects and bump them. It should only interact with terrain. It should fly through anything else, should it? Nah, I think fireballs should strike houses and not fly through them. Or maybe I'm wrong. Okay, so for now let's keep it in some default layer. That doesn't matter much. This one we'll put also on default layer. And here I can add a new sphere collider with size of 3, let's say. I'll make it trigger. And I will process it in this throw and spell stuff. Void on trigger, enter. And what should it be? Let me remove this stuff. Okay. On trigger, enter. Collider. Okay. Collider. Yeah, I know that you should use Unity engine. Maybe you should use something else too. So let's say we'll have public float power equals 1 public float duration equals 1. Then this throw-in spell, it should only be reducing anything when it has been already thrown. Is being thrown. Okay, so this stuff processes if it is being thrown. Hand equals hand. This hand is not equal to 0. And here it will be equal to 0. Okay, so I can make this protected. And now let's remove everything unnecessary. Here I can say first we can do void update. Do I have update here? I do. Okay. So it should be virtual void update. Cannot be private. Okay. Protected virtual void update. Now I have a lot of words in here. It looks less beautiful. Wait. This is this. Not to be mistaken with anything else. Right, void update. Base.update. If and is not equal. No. If it is equal to null, means we have thrown this stuff, we're not holding it anymore. Then we should decrease power based on duration. Float current duration equals 0. So here I will say no. Or yes, does it matter? This is float read only. Okay, let's read it once, just in case. This. Okay. Power minus equal. So I need to know which. So in this duration, I should reduce all the power. Let's say 5. So they will be different at least. And let's say 2 seconds. Minus equal. I need to know which part. So let's write some random formula and then update it. Delta divided by duration divided by power. So now let's say if we have delta equal to duration, then we will remove the entire power. If delta is 0, then we will not remove anything. The duration cannot be 0. Yeah, this looks right. Then, if power equals to 0, no, not equals, more or equals to 0, or current duration is more or equals duration, then I should just destroy the object itself without any fancy stuff. Destroy game object. Yeah, probably something like this. Okay. Good, so now they should disappear in time. Let's check that it works. Oh yeah, I removed the prefab and I didn't create a new one. So we're in trouble about that. 5, 2, good. And here in main camera I should put this. I should move it to different controller because this is not really related. So again, this while let's run. 1. Oh, there is this bug. Good. Which means I should not put it on default layer. I should put this collider on interactive object. Basically anything but default. Right now I'm not really sure which layers I'm going to use and how I'm going to use them, so I'm making stuff parameterized. Oh, you see what happens here? This is because here I have wrong stuff. This should also be on the same layer. Yeah, okay, change all the children, I'm fine with that. What the hell? Oh, I know. Or I don't. Wait a sec. So, simple interactive object without rigid body. This is bad. Where does it come from? It comes from stones? Should not. They have rigid body and it should be easily found here. Get component, rigid body. Huh? But they do have this issue. This is weird, but okay. Apply all. So now they all will all have this stuff, and let's run it and let's see. Okay, no errors anymore. I still have this weird ass issue. I know why. Yeah. So the problem here is that I'm changing layer of the main object, but I'm not changing layers for its parents. Here on start interaction, I say transform restore layer game object dot layer dot okay, unity set layer recursively. How does this work? Child.game object. Any better solution for this? No? Oh, how? I don't like it at all. Because this will be slow and this won't work in a way I want it to. Okay, let's care less about this stuff and let's do the fine. I will create a new layer, spells, so I can manually set what the spells can interact with and what they cannot interact with. I can move this and yes, change all the children. Then I think I should make it a parameter if it should adjust layers. Yeah, let's put it here. Equals true by default. And then I will do this only if change layers is active. I basically can create two types of simple interactive objects. One of them will change layers, the other will not. But is there a reason to do that right now? I don't see it. So now the stones should continue working fine, but our spell should not cause the hand to jump into the camera. Yep, good. Why is it lying here now? Holy grail, why can't I throw it anymore? Velocity? Everything's good with velocity? What's up? Huh. What's up with velocities? Game object.layer restore layer. This is the only thing I've changed right now. Also, there is this second thing about updates. Spin thrown. Debug.log. Oh no. There's no enemy. Okay, so it gets into this stuff. There was some warning in the beginning. I didn't notice what it was. My rigid body, velocity constraints, blah blah blah. Okay, everything's good. What is the problem? I don't get it. Okay, so it looks like this something's wrong with the layer because velocity just doesn't do anything. Okay, let's create a fireball. Let's make it almost eternal here. 2000. Let's put it somewhere. Let's see what it does. So it does reduce this stuff. Oh, and its collider is moving somewhere far, far away. But, oh, that's a sad story. Huh. I remember I faced this issue already at some point with joints. Not with this project, with something else. And I believe this was because this thing didn't have rigid body. And let's say, let's put 0 here. Something like this, or it should be joint or something like that. That's funny. Okay, yeah, I know why. No, don't use, this is kinematic. But it will not work again. Oh, holy grail. Okay. Unity parent move with child rigid body. Should never have a parent and a child rigid body together. What? Velocity gets calculated in world space. If your parent or rigid body to another child will get additional forces. Okay. Okay. Okay, so let's do this. Let's try removing this component and adding it here. Let's say it has mass of 3 kilograms and it uses gravity, it is kinematic, and it is here. This is trigger collider, so it should not be an issue. Now it behaves slightly weird with this jumping up right from the start. I don't know why it does that. Do stones do that? No, they don't. But this stuff does. I'm not sure why this is happening. Let's see. Jumps up. I think it jumps something like on its own collider. The height of its own collider. No. I don't want this window to be separate. Yep, thanks. We're still playing. Really? This looks like something's gone wrong. Okay. So the gizmos doesn't help here. Why it jumps up? So yeah, there is this thing. Huh. Oh, I cannot pick this up. Okay, this was all bad idea. All this moving something out and in and all that just was a bad idea. Now I know why. So the problem is that I'm orienting on this collider that is inside. So I cannot keep it inside, I should keep it outside, otherwise it won't work. So let's just delete this, the whole thing. Let's move the collider here. It's not triggered. It's this. Fireball, rigid body, blah blah blah. Okay, let's try again. It still jumps up for some reason. I have an idea why it jumps up. Because it is created on the wrong position. It's not above the ground at all. I should... It's just the place where it is created, so it's pretty simple to fix. And I should restore this my rigid body thing and just get component rigid body, and I will need to think in these terms. I don't need to serialize it anymore. Let's see that it works. It does, good. Now for positioning. Right now PC controls create those fireballs and it initiates it in the hand position. Then this whole interaction sequence will move the object 1 meter above the surface. But 1 meter is not enough because our sphere is bigger. I think that's the entire problem. Magnitude really small, blah blah blah. Start interaction here. Transform position plus vector 3 dot up. Should I make this bigger? No, I don't think it makes any sense. I should just put here some random value. Something like this should be just enough. It's a hack. It's a pretty bad hack. Don't do it. And you see, it still didn't help enough. And there is this funny issue. So anything that is in hands, when something spawns, it lands into the hand layer. Okay, let's change layers for anything. Should not be able to hit objects. Yay, thank you for the follow. I'm not sure I can pronounce your nickname, I'm sorry. Okay, this. I'll keep everything in place right here. Now, I've removed this parameter. Now everything will change its location. What is the layer? I will put it on hand game object layer. Okay. Set it contoplunging. That's a really long nickname. I assume it means something on some language, or it's a combination of some languages, most likely. Say it if you can. Huh. But none of the languages I know. So whatever I was doing, again, first Unity, for some reason the icon disappeared, and now I've spent quite some time trying to find where Unity is. Indonesia, nice. Lately Windows updates were really hard on me, so with the latest update some icons disappear, and in some applications my camera doesn't work. But it's better than the previous one, where a lot of stuff stopped working. Okay, what I wanted to do is I wanted to double check which layer the hand is on. It's in ignore raycast. Okay. Let's say that stuff that is on ignore raycast layer. No, not here. Okay. Let's go to edit, project settings. It should be here, something about layers, tags and layers. Tags, no, physics. Yeah, physics. So here I should say that ignore raycast should not interact with anything, even with itself. So now what will happen is when I keep something in the hand, yeah, this ball will be hand at some point. It should not interact with anything, though it does. It does because I spawn it on the wrong layer. I spawn it on layers layer. Then, though I change it right away, I don't change it on awake. I change it before any first physical interaction. So let's multiply it a bit bigger. Float. And what's wrong with it? Here. On start interaction, I'm moving layer to hand game object layer. Hand layer, I assume, is the one I've set it to. Ignore raycast. Good. I expect project settings to work too. I know what I forgot. So physics, ignore raycast, I removed it here, but I didn't remove it here. So it still interacts with spells and interactive objects. Good, let's try doing this now. What is this? Why do I have gizmos now? Oh, because I have this stuff selected. So now it works better, that's good. And now when I'm holding the stone, I can get through other stones without pushing them. That's good. This is what I actually expected to do. Then again, how fireballs should interact with stones is a tricky question. The power is way too big. I should change it. What does get this power? The fireball itself, I believe. Max power speed modifier 0.5. Should not be able to throw them too fast, or yeah, I still can throw them pretty good, but Yeah, this feels much better. Let's update the stones too. This speed modifier most likely should not be a parameter of stone. They already have 0.5. That's good. That's funny. Okay. This speed modifier shouldn't be a parameter of spells. It should be probably the parameter of controls itself. But do I want to change it or not? I do. I think I do. I think it really does matter. Okay, that's good. Now we have the fireballs that live for some time. If they don't touch anything, they disappear. They disappear a bit too soon. Let's let them stay longer. Duration, let's say 6 seconds. The prefab layer. And now we should finally be able to add some interactions. First, let's check that it really works. On the sphere collider that will be triggered, that will be bigger than the external ones. And then here in throw-in spell, on trigger collider, collider dot game object dot name, collision plus collision plus this. Let's check that it really does work properly. Should open this. Collision terrain, okay, and now it just keeps colliding with the terrain forever. I mean, it collides once, and then it just knows that it's still colliding. Do I want to use trigger colliders then? Yeah, so fireballs might be in very different positions, which means I should be able to... I should not use manual raycasting or anything, I should still keep doing the trigger. There should be a method called onTriggerStay. Yep. Void on trigger stay. Still there. So now I can track when and how this stuff happens. Terrain, 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 okay. And first encounter happens pretty much at the same time. I don't really care at which. Though I do care about them stones. Let's wait till all the fireballs disappear. Good. Now let's check what happens when it hits some stone. Whoop. Terrain, 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 and it goes terrain almost forever, and then stone and terrain. So it will trigger this method twice, which is good for me. And I assume it will trigger on trigger enter, and then right at the same frame it will shoot on trigger stay. I hope so. And I don't think there are any interactions that are fast enough. I mean, if something happens too fast and it only it happens for one single frame, I do on trigger enter, but it never stays there, it just goes out right away. I should not count it as any interaction at all. So this. Now I need to somehow figure where this happened and with which object. Let's do this. Let's create an interface called iFlammable, for example. Where should it be? Interactive object. Okay, so I have the base here. Let's continue with here. iFlammable.cs public interface flammable public void share power root, yeah, share power float this, and I shouldn't mention that it's public float power. So what this method will do, it will take the entire power of the object, of the source object, and it will return what the new power for the source object is, because they are actually sharing power. And now let's go here, and here we'll say var flammable equals iFlammable, no, collider get component iFlammable. If flammable is not equal to null, then power equals flammable dot share power from the capital letter. I don't want to change this power, to be honest. I'd rather change initial power. So this is some settings, and this is what we have at the moment. They should be different. I mean, they most likely will be different a lot of times. Protected. Why protected? No one cares. Wake equals power. I'm not using constructors, I'm using awakes because it's Unity, and constructors are less safe. Something might not be already initialized at that point because serialization logic runs at some random times. So it's just trying to stay safe. Now, let's say that any simple interactive object is iFlammable. Implement. Let's say it will, for now it will just return power divided by 2. Something like this. So it will make lifespan of a fireball twice smaller if it touches other fireball or if it touches a stone. Object reference is not set to an instance of an object. What the hell? What the hell? While executing cancelled callbacks. That's funny. Okay, yeah, I know why this... No, I don't know why this happened. What? What did I do wrong? What did I change lately? I've added this share power, but it should not matter. No reference while executing cancelled callbacks. Okay, yeah, this is from this start interaction, that's good. And my rigid body is null. If my rigid body equals null, then debugger wonder how this can happen, given that those fireballs do have rigid body and it is active. Otherwise they wouldn't go down the slope at all, and they do. And I don't see this error happening. Oh, I see. That's bad. This is bad, this is bad. Okay, let's do it the other way around. So that means that awake happens after this initial method, on the next frame probably, after I've created the object, and that doesn't help me at all. So what I should do in this case is this. Should create getter here, then I should have private rigid body underscore my rigid body. Actually, this should cache this stuff, but no, method call will not be cached. And that thing will happen on constructor, which I tried to avoid. Okay, let's try setting it up on constructor and let's see where it leads, because it might work. Public void, not void, this, and we'll say my rigid body equals game object get component rigid body, and if my rigid body equals null, then we'll show an error that game object called game object name is simple. Meh. Let's just do this. So now we're sure that it will always happen. It will always have rigid body, no matter what is happening around. This stuff will just always work. Let's see. Exception. Get game object is not to be called from constructor. That's what I was talking about. No. Should keep it. And let's say if I do this, something like this, game object get component rigid body. So I'm not sure I'm doing this right now. I mean, I'm sure I'm not doing this right now. What's wrong? Okay. I should not call this thing. That's not how it works. But I want to check if it will throw any errors. If it will not, then I will change this code to an appropriate one that doesn't have any errors. Yay, null references all the way. Simple interactive object.update. That's funny. What's up? Velocity queue. Awake is not running. It looks like. Because it's been set here. Honestly, I don't need to set it on awake. I can set it here. Yeah, it shouldn't be a compile time constant, so I can just put it here. And ignore this stuff for good. Okay. So now this rigid body isn't there. Then, okay, we also, by the way, made sure that this stuff works. Underscore my body, it equals now, and this in getter will write some code. Get if my rigid body equals null, then equals this. Return my rigid body. This is so bad. I mean, there must be an easier way for this, because I already wrote that I require this component. I mean, it can be just passed somewhere, somehow. Unity tribute current object. Okay. Query component into, let's say, variable, something like this. Query component at variable level. What is this? Component equals now okay, this is not helpful. Query component at variable level. Okay, doesn't look like there is any solution in the first two requests. Script and API, this. Type of rigid body, yeah, people do this. Get component. Okay, whatever. While it's compiling, Unity awake, not hold. What is this? How can this be? Prefabs are nothing but serialized, they do not exist. As they don't receive any mono-behavior messages, that's right. Those messages, but it missed the advantages of prefabs. It's a copy with all its components. If you want to access the component of a copy, you need to do this. Yep, that's right. Okay, this was just an explanation what is the difference between prefab and an object. And I can tell you the difference without any manual. The prefab is saved stuff, and the object is something you actually see in the game. Okay, let's try doing this and this. So this should disappear earlier. Yep, it did. Nice. Even though I threw this first. You can basically create a bunch of them and they will all disappear sooner than otherwise. That's good. So the stones are reducing lifetimes for this stuff. But we must do something more interesting. Thinking how I can do this better. Okay, I should not make all the simple interactive objects flammable. I should just create a separate flammable objects. Let's create a folder. Nah. So let's say it's public class burner. The burner is a mono behavior. And it's flammable. Mono behavior. What did I do wrong? Behavior. Okay. Good. Flammable. Is this bad? No. Okay, I'm this bad. So what the burner does is it contains its own public float burning power. Actually, it will be an interesting thing. Private float burning power. It will have no, it can be set. It has current power, public float max power per second, so it cannot just catch a lot of fire and start burning like hell. Then on share power, what it will do is if it should receive power per second. Okay, good. Let's say we'll do this. Max power equals power multiplied by time dot delta time. Maximum per second. So it should be minimum of power and max power per second. So it drains some power from the source. Power. Okay, there are two cases. First, that the power is higher than burning. Is comparatively higher. Okay. Let's do this. Math.abs from power minus burning power is bigger than constants really small. So if it's smaller than our really small constant, then we should just return power. Means they cannot exchange any power if both of them are burning to the same extent. Can they? They can. Fireball can only give, it probably cannot take fires from stuff. And it can give forever. Okay. Let's call this differently then. Give power. And sharing is a different thing. It will happen between two burners. Power gain. Then power equals power minus power gain. So this is also not true. Yes. So it can drain everything or the desired amount. And here we'll just return power. Return power. This okay. Burning power equals power. Then public doesn't matter. Void date. It's current power. If minimum out of this, and burning power minus current power, then if power gain is more than 0, more than, for instance, really small, then we'll do anything else. This. Now current power equals 0. Public float power loss per second equals 1f equals 2f equals 2f. And here, if current power is more equal to 0, then I think this is called clamp, but okay, no matter. If current power is more than 0, then we should lose some power. Power equals math dot max of 0 and power loss per second multiplied by time dot delta time current power minus this. So it cannot get lower than 0, but it should be updated. Something like this. Also, iFlammable stuff should have float share power. So some of them will share power. And on sharing, what they will do is they'll do the same as give, but in a slightly different fashion. They cannot give more than they have. So, okay, let's copy this first, then think a bit. So, and sometimes they can share backwards and not forward. And they will call it twice, because most likely both of them will have some colliders or some trigger colliders or something like that. Whatever. Now I'm adding trigger colliders to almost everything, just to support fires. That sounds so wrong, so wrong. Can I do anything to make it right? I probably done. Okay. I can move those triggers inside of objects, and then pass values outside into the main objects themselves, and it will work. But are there any but? I can also put them on separate layer, so they will only trigger each other, which will be really nice. That's cool. That will work. It's gonna be good. Can two trigger colliders collide? Unity, two trigger colliders. How to manage collision of two triggers? Detect object or something like that. Then have kinematic rigid body. Okay, so those people from 2012, which is a bit less relevant than I would love to do. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what those people say, those are people from 2014. They are more relevant, but still not relevant enough, I would say. Two colliders on the same object is a bad idea. That makes sense, and I kind of appreciate this thought. Which means I will need to do something slightly different. I will need to slightly redesign this stuff. But anyway, first let's set up those burners. They will have to have something. I'm just thinking if they need to really collide with colliders, or they can collide with raycasts, or with some way to figure what is nearby. And I guess they need to collide, or stand nearby, collide, like collide-ish. Okay, let's think about it a bit later. That's a bit too much, and I have errors in the code, so I cannot play around with it. So let's say that they both will call each other's share power. So only the one that will give power will be the one to give it. So which means if first method's power minus current power is more than constants, then really small is again less constants to really small, return. We won't process this. Then return power. Or second option, if power is less than current power. Again, we're just returning. We don't care about that. Now we're sure that power is pretty much higher than current power. So I need to take minimum of the entire chunk, maximum we can get, or maximum we can have, or what? I can grab the entire thing. I can only grab half of it. For average equals power plus current power divided by 2. So this is the maximum power I can achieve. This is absolute maximum from this interaction, and everything else just stays the same. Private float, apply power gain, float power, return power, whatever. This. And actually this block I can also put in there. Minimum out of that power, whichever that is. So here I will call it with average. That's basically it. This is basically it. I don't need to save that anywhere. And here I will say apply power gain with power. why the... I see those two having the same stuff written in them, just completely same. So why do I need this? I don't... Give power. Oh, but it will return something different. Yeah. Equals this. Then this, and I should return power minus average minus this. Return. Yeah, everything's good. Like this. So what is happening here? I'm taking some power from the source and returning the amount that is left in the source. What is happening here? I'm calculating the maximum amount I can take, then I treat that as a source. This is not the maximum I can take, damn. Or is it? No, it is maximum I can reach. And basically, yeah, it is maximum I can take. Minimum out of power. It's gain. Okay, they have different logics. I'm sorry. Reverting this block. So this is some gain, which means that I need slightly different value over here. I need current power. I need average minus current power, something like this. And then if it's negative, then I should not use it at all. Yep. Okay, let's do this. Let's put it here. Or average is less than current power. Then I can put this stuff and I still can reuse this give power. But I will need to save the value. Power average minus current power. I'm trying to reuse as much code as possible just in case I will need to change some logics, and I can do something with that. I mean, I won't have to change it in multiple places and I will not get lost in my own code. This, you might think that it doesn't happen a lot, but there is already quite some code over here, and we'll have more and more and a bit more and then a bit more on top, and combined you can get lost. That's really easy. So this is the amount that is left out of this value. To calculate the difference, we'll take this and I'll say this. Yep. Yeah. So this is the initial, this is the resulting. I'm trying to recalc this power gain. So this is out result. So if I add, I have the previous value, and the gain is previous value minus current value. So yeah, this is the difference, and I should subtract it from this. Something like this. This is quite a formula. So at first let's log something around this, because I cannot easily trust this value. Equals this. Return RV. Then shared power base is current power. Source is power, and result so this is not true, of course. Average. I need some old value to be here, to be able to calculate something at least. Oh yeah, this current power is the new current power, not the old one. And it's pretty easy to recalc whatever I want without any of this magic. Initial equals current power, and then I can return current power minus initial. That's it. This is way more simple. And no, but power minus plus initial. This. So this is the difference between what was and what we see now. And this is the first iteration. But all the stuff that I'm doing right now doesn't do anything because we don't have interaction between those burners. I want to put them into some trigger collider and let the stuff burn, but I'm not sure how to do it properly. Let's say we have a stone. The fact that it's an interactive object doesn't have to do anything with the fact that it can be set on fire. Absolutely nothing. Not relevant. No. Which means I can put anything inside, like my trigger collider and whatnot, and make it work that way. But then I'll have a different issue, that two trigger colliders never collide. I'll need to add some event system of my own to pass collisions. Then I will not be able to put anything on specific layers. This all doesn't sound good. This all does not sound well. So the idea of putting burner here will work, but it will not work the way I want it to, because I will not make those stones share anything. What I want to achieve in the end. So first, let's think about burning objects. First, if it burns, it can make others burn. Second, burnable stuff should start burning. So this tells me that it should have something like on trigger to other objects. This doesn't give me anything. To other burnable. So the only thing I need is to interact with Second, fires don't care about interactions with user. Yay! Hey Roma! Good morning! Yeah. It's 11:45 p.m. for me. Going to sleep soon. What else? They don't care about real collisions. What it means? I will need a trigger collider, but where do I put it? Okay, let's... Okay, that's fine. I will put it inside. Can remove this component and let's create empty, and I'll add burner here. I'll add sphere collider, let's say. We'll make it trigger. It will have something, some crap about sizes, but okay, something like 0.2. Scales, okay. So anything that is in this radius can start burning. Then burner. Then in here I will add okay, new folder, fires. Let's move it into fires. Move, yep. Then let's add new file, something like receiver or something. Receiver.cs public class mono behavior flammable. So this thing will do implement interface, good. This thing will do really simple stuff. Actual burner, and it will just pass the values inside. This and this. So here exists but cannot be found. Yeah, of course, as usual I forgot to move metadata, but I hope Unity is clever enough for this. Receiver. Receiver is a bad word here. Flames receiver. This. Because otherwise just receiver word doesn't mean anything. Did you die? Okay, you did. What the hell? What the hell? Okay, that doesn't matter. For some reason it remembered my previous class. I don't know how this can happen, but okay. What the hell? Okay. Please fix compilers. There are no compile errors. Let's just remove this component and say burner here. Adding all those burners, I feel like I'm doing something around Burning Man, because people who go there call themselves burners, and it's totally not related. Okay, it triggers Fur Collider, good. So now I can believe that this thing, if it touches anything, will act accordingly. Let's say void on trigger state, major collider, equals call get component flammable, and if flame is not equal to null, I can use just question marks. Those will be easier. Dot. No, I cannot. Okay. This current power equals flam dot share power. Good. So now burning stones can share power between each other. I still have to update the fireball spell itself, and yeah, I need to apply this thing. Yeah, the time is running. I should be going soon. I should be wrapping up the stream soon. But let's reach some point first. If current power more 0f. Let's do this first. More than not just 0, but just something really small. Just thinking this stuff will be called a lot, and I don't really like this, but okay. Okay-ish. Let's say not too many objects are colliding all the time. I can basically disable the entire collider. Yeah, I can do this. So I can do this. Something like private collider, my collider, private collider underscore my collider, because I don't trust awakes anymore after what I've seen earlier today. If this is not equal to now, if it is, equals game object get component collider and return underscore my collider. This. What's wrong? Of course, game object from the small letter, and here else dot import equals false. Dot enabled equals true. Something like this. So it will not do on trigger state too much. At least it will only enable it when it's necessary. I'm fine with that. Still, I need to change the fireball. It doesn't work like this anymore. So what I did was I've created this collider inside, and this was not the best idea. How do I change this? First of all, this throwing spell is a generic throwing spell. It should not be the fireball, actually. So it should not know about a flammable. It should not know about this stuff. But okay. Actually, I can use this. Yeah. Throwing spell does not need to be anyhow relevant to our thing. Yeah, that's good. Why am I doing this? Throwing spell is basically simple interactive object always. It's nothing else, it's not different in any matter, it's just that. The fact that it's a spell is not influencing real behavior. All of this stuff is just some overrides, whatever. They don't make any sense. What I should do is I should remove this ritual from here. Then I should go to the throwing spell itself and say that it's a separate mono behavior. That's it. I don't need to override anything, I don't need to make this stuff... Okay. What happened? What? Flames receiver already contains. That's not true. It doesn't contain. It does. Receiver.cs. That's funny. Let's just delete that. Then there is no base. I should know that it has been thrown, but that's all I should know. So let's call this fireball. Let's call this fireball. Let's move this out. I should somehow know that it was cast. This information should come from the throwing part. So there should be a class called throwing spell, but it should be slightly different. How was it called previously? Throwing spell, okay, good. New file, throwing spell.cs, public class, throwing spell, simple interactive object. Here, simple interactive object. It has this stop interaction. This. What does it return? It always returns true. I wanted to somehow tell me that it was thrown. Do I care? No, I don't. Good. Public override this. Public override this. Return true. Base dot stop interaction. Fireballs should also implement some other interface, so I can new file I spell starter. .cs public interface iSpell starter public void starter. Just void start spell. Then here we'll say iSpell starter. We'll implement this interface, and here we basically will say that it was cast. It's false, and here it's equals false, and here it's equals true. And if it was cast, then we're doing something, otherwise we don't. And also we should add something like revoke or something like that. Stop spell. Nah, okay. Whichever the names, we can change them later. Cast equals false. So now this thing will tell us if we're holding this stuff or not. This throw in spell will just have public spell starter. I might have to transform it into an abstract class, because otherwise I will not be able to get it. Or maybe I'm wrong. Let's see how it works. Spell starter dot start spell public variable start interaction. Start interaction. Start interaction. I think this stuff always returns true, except when the hand is null. Okay. RV spellcaster dot stop spell return early. This stuff. So now the throwing spell is simply more advanced. It is a bit more advanced than simple object, and it requires a separate stuff that will process the logics behind it, which must be fine. Okay, so I cannot specify this interface implementation for a simple reason. What the hell? Oh, yeah. Abstract class. Mono behavior. Public. Void. This. And this fireball stuff now is... I will keep this I because it just shows that inherited blah blah blah. Alright. This is better. I will keep this I because it's basically just an interface. I'm making it an abstract class so I can put something in there. So I can just use these settings. You see, now I can put something here. So now I can create an empty stuff inside. I will call it fire. Fire, whatever, and I will put fireball here. It just has power and duration, but we can put it right here. Also, the fireball should know its main object. Public game object main parent. Because it should not destroy itself, it should destroy its main parent. Those are recursive links. Something you should try to avoid as hard as possible. And that tells you a person who is actually doing this right now. Sphere collider equals 3. So here is the fire, here is its animation, here are all the colliders. Let's remove this component and okay, this looks like it will work the way I want it to. Everything is in spells layer, which is good. Well, the only thing that will go wrong, totally will go wrong, are the layers. Because here I'll need to reset layers. Crap. I don't like these. It gets too complex, but okay. Int restore layer. So here we'll say equals -1. Restore layer equals spell starter dot game object dot layer, and we'll change its layer equals no, on stop interaction everything's other way around. This, and it should be equal to hand dot game object dot layer. And here we should do this. So now it should be on the proper layer and it should not set stuff on fire while we're just moving around with it. It has all the colliders, it has everything. Now I want to do the last one thing for today is I want to somehow highlight that the stone is on fire. I'll do it with a really simple trick. Void on draw gizmos. In Unity, you can use some fancy stuff. So on draw gizmos is called when you're in editor and you allow to draw all the gizmos. Red. And let's say that this will be equal to current power. Something like this. So it will just draw a simple sphere, like this green one you see, when anything is when it's burning, and it will have the sphere will have different size by the current power. Let's multiply it by 3f so it will be more visible. And let's check how it works and if it works at all. So I should enable gizmos here. That's one big sphere. I hoped it to be wired. Yeah, you see the stones shared. That's actually cool. So okay, so the problem with this is that they lose their... one second. The problem that I see here is that they lose energy too slow, or they don't lose it at all. I'm not entirely sure. What the hell? And the interaction broke. Oh. It just disappeared. What the heck? Huh. Something's wrong and I don't know what. The interactions broke. Something about layers went wrong. And they share, but they don't actually reduce their current power. That kind of makes sense. So yeah, this makes a lot of sense, because maximum is always the right part. Oh, wait a sec. That's crap. I'm just saying something entirely wrong right now. Draw wire sphere. With the red color and the current power. Then constants really small is really small. Oh, I even have some exceptions in here. That's good. Null reference my collider dot enabled. What? So those burners cannot see their own sphere colliders? What? Okay. Public collider, my collider. I'll use this. Come on, I'll just use this, and I'll do it like this. This. I'm not sure why it didn't catch its own collider. It's really weird. But something seems to be going wrong with this part, because it's not the first time I see this issue right here. No more null references. Yeah, now the wireframes work. And now the pickup work also. That fireball for some reason just went away. Yay, awesome. So the fire behaves in a way I want it to. Exactly in a way I want it to. That's awesome. So you see these spheres, they getting smaller, they catch fire from the object and all that stuff. This is really good, I love this. Then this fireball seems to be bugged. Throw in layer spells. Oh yeah, I cannot pick up this fireball because its main layer is spells. But it should be... But it shouldn't be spells. because I can pick it up. It should be on interactive objects, and I want to change this object only. Well, now I can even pick up this fireball and move it around, do this, and it disappeared, and this is good. Yay. Okay. There is still this error for some reason. Let's see where it comes from. I'm really not sure where it comes from. Oh, I know. Burner should be on some different layer, not on interactive objects. Let's just put it on spells for now. So my raycast, when I tried to pick up stone, was colliding with the burner, and it's bigger, because it's bigger than the stone. And that didn't help, of course. It was only like that for currently burning stones. Yeah, and the stones that are burning continue burning, and they spread while I'm moving them. That's really good. Okay, I think on this major note we should stop it for today. We added some interaction. We didn't yet add any animation for that. We didn't yet add any interaction with the ground, which we should add, but we've done a great job. So let me close all this, open GitHub, and I will check everything in, and at that point I will go to sleep. Fires. And we refactored some stuff, which I didn't expect to do. But every once in a while you have to do that, regardless if you want to or not. Okay. Thanks everyone for watching, and see you next time.